إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين علي ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليان وجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين ورحمة الله على محبيهم ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم وفرقانه المجيد يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين اللهم صل على محمد. أما بعد, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullah. On the day of Jummah, it is wajib compulsory on whoever is leading to remind himself and the believers to observe the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be conscious and to be wary of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all of their dealings and all of their affairs. As we would have continued our discussion on Risalatul Hukuk, on the Hukuk, being the month of Rajab, and of course this weekend celebrating the birth anniversary of Amirul Mu'mineen wa Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. I felt a little bit of a need to divert from our subject matter, which we often do in celebration and in commemoration and in marking of any special events that have come, and inshallah give a little bit of a tribute to Mawla as well. Of course, one of the things that we see from the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen is not only his bravery, his command of grammar, his chivalry, but the fact that he was so close to Rasulullah, he was a student of Rasulullah, and he went on to become our teacher and the teacher of the entire universe, I can say that. And through his writings in the form of Nahjul Balagha, and Muslims and non-Muslims, Shias and non-Shias, have given him a phenomenal tribute, which inshallah I'll just spend a couple of minutes talking about. And one of the things that we find in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen is that whatever he has taught continues to impact the world even till today, and of course till the end of time. And one of the reasons why the believers, and myself included, whenever a difficulty has arisen, almost immediately from our tongue, Ya Ali Madad comes out. Ya Ali comes out. I remember the time when I was in a very serious accident, and that was the only thing I remember saying before I was, when I lost consciousness. When it was the most difficult moments, we call out and we say, Ya Ali. And whether others like it or not, whether others think that this is shirk or biddat or not, whether anybody else approves or not, is irrelevant to us. Because from the history of Islam, we have found that in the most difficult moments of Rasulullah's life, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in those difficult moments of the Prophet's life, he also called out to Imam Ali. So it's not something that we're doing outside of Sunnatul Rasul. It is actually a part of Sunnatul Rasul. So there's nothing we need to be apologetic about. We don't need to try and hide our faith and just publicly say Ya Allah instead of Ya Ali. I mean, of course, ultimately everything returns back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ultimately everything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if Allah has bestowed that permission to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, it's nothing surprising. In the battles, it wasn't, the malaika of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that came and fought the battles of Badr, Khaybar, Uhud, and Hunayn. And so, it was in the form of Ali ibn Abi Talib. I was just speaking to one author this morning, a book author, and she was telling me something very interesting that I thought I would share with the Mu'mineen in Jummah. She said that, Disney puts out a lot of these fairy tales. And they have, I don't want to name any of them, all of you are aware of them fully, so I don't need to go into the details and the depths. But they read and they hear these fairy tales of this princess and this knight in shining armor. And then you turn on another side and you see Marvel comics who have got superheroes who can fly and who can do this and who can take over a city. And Marvel was also, complemented or competed with, DC Comics and others as well. So you've got a whole host of fairy tales, superheroes, and a fictitious array of characters. And so a lot of times, and this author was telling me, her daughter asked her, Mommy, I wish these characters existed. And it was interesting, my conversation, she told her daughter, she says, they do exist. And not in fiction. In reality, if you look at the life of Hazrat Abbas ibn Ali alayhi salam, you will see that. A man who could have knocked out the entire army of Umar Asad had he been given the permission to do so. The writers, the poets, and the Marsiya Khan have written such beautiful lines that had the permission been given, the battle of Karbala would not have been what we are reading and researching today. And if Abbas alayhi salam was like that, imagine the teacher and the father of Abbas ibn Ali. If somebody had the power in the caliber of Hazrat Abbas, imagine the father or the teacher of Hazrat Abbas, who was Amirul Mu'mineen. So we're not neglected or not deprived of it. And there are narrations in the battle of Khaybar and Khandak, whereby the historians, not Shia historians, others, Orientalists, have written that the clanging, you know, when the swords are clanging with each other, the friction being created when the sword of Ali ibn Abi Talib was there, that it could have ignited any flame or fire. You know, the friction building and the swords clanging, that friction could have ignited a fire. That's how much the sword was. And if you have seen a movie called The Message, in certain parts of the battles, they show that, you know, when Imam is on the battlefield, when Amirul Mu'mineen is on the battlefield, the strength, stamina, and you can say the endurance has been so great in the battle that the sand, you know, when you're basically fighting and you're going back and forth and front, you know, offensive, defensive, and all that, it says that the dust would create such a phenomena, and especially in the case of when Amirul Mu'mineen was fighting Amr ibn Abdawad. Amr ibn Abdawad was, you know, one of those powerhouses on the other side, who also had, you know, very phenomenally well-recorded episodes of annihilating entire tribes. Entire families could be massacred by Amr ibn Abdawad if he didn't believe in something. And he was saying that when he was asked, when he was calling out to the Muslims in a very humiliating way, he was saying to the Muslims, come and fight me. Huh? Come and fight me. If you lose, you'll go to Jannah. If I kill you, you'll go to Jannah. And if you kill me, you're the brave one. Imagine making a challenge like that. It's a win-win situation, huh? A win-win situation. If I kill you, you go to Jannah. If you kill me, alhamdulillah, your prophet and your message and your Islam will be successful. Not one Muslim stood forward. Not one came forward. Then Imam Ali, Imam al-Muttaqin, goes to the prophet and says, I will go. And the Imam says, I will go. The Prophet, you know, of course, this is just a you know, hypothetical, rhetorical discussion. The Prophet says, Ali, you sure you want to go? This is Amr ibn Abdawad. This is not an ordinary person. This is Amr ibn Abdawad. And the Imam smiles and says, yes, I know who it is. As soon as Ali alayhi salam goes towards the battlefield, the Prophet's statement says, Kulle iman is going to fight kulle kufr. Not a mu'min is going to fight a kafir. Not even Amirul Mu'mineen is going to fight Amirul Kafirin. No. He says, Kulle iman, yani the whole basis of the faith of Islam was resting on the shoulders, the feet, and the arms of none other than Ali ibn Abi Talib. The whole Islam was resting on Ali's shoulders. And so the battle goes, and as I said, the writers are mentioning that there was so much dust that nobody could figure out what was going on, who was winning, who was injuring who hurt who. The only thing they saw when the dust settled was Ali ibn Abi Talib on top of Amr ibn Abi Talib, ready to send him to Jahannam. At that moment, you can imagine how much power, strength, how much stamina, how much difficulties Ali alayhi salam must have had in order to get to this point. At that moment, the battle is just about finishing. It's a matter of 3 or 4 seconds for Imam to send him to Jahannam. At that moment, Amr spits at him. Believe me, if I was there on that position, I have just overpowered my enemy. I've overpowered the one who has caused misery to the Prophet, to Islam, to me personally. For me, that 4-second job would have been a 2-second job, or maybe a 1-second job. You did that to me? You spit at me? The ultimate humiliation. You know, perhaps we've heard this from the Mimbar many times. There may be a chance that we may not have analyzed this thoroughly. Sometimes when our children are talking to us, or our spouse, or even our brother, and when we speak, sometimes it is natural, the saliva comes out. So I've heard people say it, don't spray it. You know, don't spit at me. Because even if you're talking to friends, then you'll say it, don't spray it. But if your enemy is talking to you and he spits at you, you'll slap him right there. Get your face away from me. face that way when you want to talk to me, right? Because I don't want you to get your spit, your saliva. Because with friends, we'll tell them, please be careful. With enemies, we'll say, shove off. Because there is a certain symbolic hatred or dislike towards somebody who spits. Because they are putting their internal body fluids and germs onto you. Okay? How many times have we probably found ourselves in situations we shake hands with somebody and their hands are soaking wet? What's the first thing we look for? Just go to the washroom and just rinse it out. Nothing wrong. It's not najis. Yeah, it's not going to kill you. Germs, bacteria, yeah, but it's not going to cause your death. I've never known of anybody to die because of a handshake with somebody who's had wet fingers or wet hands or sweaty. But the discomfort I'm talking about, the discomfort. Now here is the enemy of not only Mawla Ali, the enemy of Islam, the enemy of Rasulullah, the enemy of Islam, now has spit on you. And at that moment, what does Imam do? What does your Mawla do? What does your Imam do? He gets up and he lets Amr get up again. Allahu Akbar. Ya Ali, what are you doing, Mawla? Ya Imam, Ya Amir, what are you doing? Then the battle rages again. Again the Imam is fighting, injured, and finally that time the Imam sends him to Jahannam. He kills him. Somebody went to him and says, Ya Ali, why did you prolong the battle? You could have done your job, the same thing you wanted to do. The same thing you wanted to do the first time. Why did you wait for a second round? The Imam replies, Allahu Akbar. This is the test for every one of us sitting here, myself to start with. The Imam says that at that moment when he spit at me, he did an ignobility to me personally. He humiliated me. He disgraced me. Had I killed him then, there might have been, remember, the wording is careful. This is Imam al-Muttaqeen. This is not you or me. This is not Brother Shafiq in this battlefield. This is Mawla. This is Imam. This is Wasi Rasul, Khalifat al-Rasul. This is the head of Islam after Rasulullah. Imam says, it could have been construed that I might have done that moment for myself because he insulted me, and that would not have been for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The khulus can we have in our lives? That even a moment that you're going to do the same thing anyways, you're going to do it anyways. But when we do it for ourselves or when we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will determine whether we are following Ali ibn Abi Talib or Amr ibn Abdul. The distinction comes right there. Are we following Imam or are we following our own desires? Are we following the Imam or are we doing what we want to do? Doesn't matter what Allah ta'ala wants us to do. Whom are we following? Who is our Imam? Because Imam means somebody who leads. In order for there to be an Imam, there must be a Mamun. So we say Imam al-Muttaqeen, we say our Imam, but really, is Imam Ali our Imam? That is a question I wanted to leave us with. I'm talking about myself, I wanted to leave with. In Nahj al-Balagha, this Imam that I mentioned that, of course we've got so many beautiful stories. The words of the Imam are wonderful. Imam mentions that there are 9 rules for happiness. This is a statement from Amir al-Mu'mineen which he quotes from, is quoted in Nahj al-Balagha. Firstly, the Imam says, Awwal, tawakkal Allah. Rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fi as-sarra wa ad-dharra. When you are happy and when you are grieved. When you're happy or when you're sad. Trust in Allah. Tawakkaltu ala Allah. Whichever situation. Whenever you have difficulties, whenever you have happiness, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Hazrat Musa Nabi Allah alayhi salatu wasalam was asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, should I remember you more when I'm happy or should I remember you more when I'm sad? We all have imtihan, we all have sadnesses, and we all have happinesses. Sometimes something really good happens. And I've known of people on both sides of the coin. Some people will say, I remember Allah so much when I'm happy. I'm so glad when I get sad, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to deal with anybody. I even forget Allah. Some people have said that, when something bad happens, I really remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I'm getting my paycheck, when I do this, when that happens, when this happens, I tend to forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Hazrat Musa is asking, and they were saying, I was reading an article, a religious-based article. It said that most people, now again, I don't know if it applies to everybody here, but he was saying that most humans remember, now they were not talking about God, well, they were talking about God or the higher spirit or the higher power. They remember God more when they are upset, most people, than when they are happy. So when something tragedy, and this is perhaps one of the reasons why the hadith mentions from Rasulullah that a believer is truly a believer when he has a challenge at least minimum every 40 days. A mu'min is a mu'min only when they have a mushkilat and an imtihan at least every 40 days. The imtihan can be in different ways. It can be in different ways. One of my teachers gave an example. He says that let's say you borrowed $100 from somebody, and for a month you borrowed that $100. A month later he came and brought it back to you, but your loanee, he gave you 100 loonies. Okay? So now you sit down and you start counting. 1, 2, 3. You're starting counting. It's 97, 98, 99. He cheated me $1. He ripped me off $1. Huh? He didn't pay me my $100 back. See, I'm going to have to phone him. Before you phone him and now you're tense. Now, what will I do? Should I phone him? Should I not phone him? Should I just leave it? You're tense. Then you count again. And you realize 97, 98, 99, 100. Oh, okay, my mistake. The hadith, one of my teachers told me, he said, those moments that you were tense, okay, did I have 100 or was it 99? That tension can also qualify as imtihan. So at least every 40 days, if 40 days pass and you have got everything happiness, check your iman meter. Make sure you're still a mu'min. There have to be difficulties. There have to be challenges. Your mom and dad must have said no to something you really wanted. But dad, I need this. I want this. I have to have it. Can we stop here? Or something happens at our workplace. Or some challenge at home takes place. An argument with the other half. Any of those things can qualify as imtihan. So a believer will have to have an imtihan at least minimum every 40 days. Then Hazrat Musa was asking, when should I remember? When those difficult things happen or when I'm happy? Allah replies him, Ya Musa, remember me in all cases. When you're happy and you remember me, then when you get sad, I will also remember you. If you're sad and you remember me, when you're happy, I will remember you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a very clear policy for that. So rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing Mawla says, I probably may not get to all 9 of them now, unless you want to be here till Maghrib, inshallah. The second thing Amir al-Mu'mineen says, fear Allah. Fear Allah when you are alone, when traveling, and when you are at home. So when you're alone, see, this is the time we forget Allah the most. When we're alone, nobody's watching us. Then we'll watch whatever we want on TV, or on a computer, or on our phone. When nobody is there to watch, we will see whatever we want. We will do whatever we want. I see a wallet here. After Jummah, one of you left it behind. Everybody's gone. Nobody's watching me. Huh? Open the wallet, take out that $50 bill, put it in, and then say, hey, this wallet was found. Nobody's watching me. Everybody's gone. Then I'll announce, okay, who lost a wallet? Nobody saw me, and nobody will do a suspicion on me, right? No. That's when we're alone. When we're at home, we have a certain sense of security in our homes, and rightly so. We have a certain degree of privacy in our homes, which the reason why people have put doorbells or doors on the homes is to protect that privacy and that confidentiality. If this wasn't so important, none of us would have doors. None of us would have locks. I know people who leave their doors open. Alhamdulillah, my door is open for everybody, but you still have a door. You still have a door. So even if somebody tries to come in your house who you're expecting your neighbors, or there's a majlis, at least you have to, you hear the click that somebody's coming in, so that even if for a moment you need to prepare, you do prepare. That's when we have the privacy, and one of our biggest tests comes about then. We can say and present any image outside that we want. Our real image is in the home. And that is why when scholars like Imam Khomeini, Allah Makam's wife, went on to explain that Sayyid Ruhullah never even asked me for a glass of milk. He would wash his own dishes. He would ask, make tea for us. We would not have to make tea for him. Many of us husbands, would have a hard time having our wives say these things after we have left this dunya. Sometimes I fear, I said that, what are you going to say about me after I'm gone? And I get a list. Well, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, right? And so what happens? Let's try and correct this, this, and this. Let's try and make our homes and our privacies and our confidentialities such that if they were exposed, we can face our Allah and our Imam, knowing that we are pleased, the Imam is pleased with us. So at home, traveling, and alone, same thing applies. Let's say, I'm just going to go a little quickly on this. The third thing is, do not coerce anybody, no matter how much he has wronged you. Yani in Islam, there is a policy of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, when it comes to personalities and personal issues. But don't hurt somebody who has done something wrong to you so much that you cross the threshold of even justice. Don't do something so drastic that if somebody just pokes you, you go and knock out his teeth. Somebody just by accident bumps you and you break his glasses. Now, these are things that we have to sometimes be careful about, because those minutes that those seconds that we get angry are one of the biggest tests for us. And that's why Shaitan says that when a believer is angry, I am playing with him the way a child plays with a ball and a balloon. You know how children play with those balls? They pass them here and there, but the ball is completely in their control. Shaitan says, when you are angry, when the believers are angry, I have got control over you the way a kid has control over a ball. I can do whatever I want with it. I can create whatever I want with it. I can break a window with that ball. I can break a table or spill all the food from the table. I've got complete control. That's when we have to take control. The way Imam Ali alayhi salam at the beginning I mentioned, how he took control of his anger. Remember, this was not an ordinary person. This was Amir al-Mu'mineen who had temper, who had anger, that he could have defeated the entire army of Abu Sufyan and all. But no, control yourself at that moment. Because that's what, I often have said, our biggest test comes on how we deal with our enemies, not our friends. With our friends, we will all be nice. With our friends, we will all be pleasant and cordial and mashallah and helpful and giving and generous. How we deal with our enemies is what will determine us. And this is our test. Not how we deal with our friends. If you look at the life of the Holy Prophet, how he dealt with his enemies made Islam what Islam is, made Rasulullah's remembrance what it is today. Then the Imam says, number 4, the fourth thing, do not worry no matter how high your troubles pile up. There was one statement that I had shared with you some time ago on the Mimbar, and some of the youngsters really liked it, so I will just repeat it for their benefit, inshallah. The saying was, don't tell God how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big your God is. And believe me, if we let that guide our life, we've got it made. Don't tell Allah how big my problems are. Tell my problems how big my Allah is. Then there's no problem. You see, problems and the difficulties, the imtihan that we talked about are there for everybody. Everybody sitting here, every one of us, myself included, will think that my challenges, my problems, my issues are the biggest. You guys don't know what I'm going through. But everyone has that situation. I don't know what your problems are, and certainly yours will be much greater than mine. And yours will be much higher than mine. Yours will be much more tear-causing than mine. But I'm thinking mine are the best, mine are the worst, mine are the biggest. Imam says, no matter how big they are, don't worry. Don't stress yourself. Whatever is meant to happen will happen. You try your best. We're not telling you to sit back. And one of the other things the Imam says about rizq, you will get whatever is destined for you. You will get whatever is in your haqq. That doesn't mean you sit back and say, Ya Allah, let it fall from the sky. Some hole comes into the wall and, somebody will drop some gold coins and now I won't have to work for the rest of my life. Not like that. You try your best, but if a contract doesn't go through, if a deal doesn't go through, if I didn't get what I was expecting, if I didn't get the bonus that I was hoping for, well, whatever you got, that was your haqq. Don't use wrong means to increase your sustenance. That's the point that Imam is reminding us of. Don't use wrong ways and wrong means and lies and deceit and thievery and all that to increase your risk and increase your sustenance. You cheat the people. You talk about, things that are in your business or your products that you're selling that are not existent. No. Do it honestly. Whatever is meant for you will be, inshallah, given to you. The Imam says, live simply, no matter how high your prestige becomes. You suddenly get a good contract, a good deal, you're now a millionaire. Still live simply. And there was a saying, quotation that goes around on the internet. I think Sheikh Salim had once passed it on to me. It says that when your wealth increases, don't raise your standard of living, raise your standard of giving. And it makes a lot of deal, in living our lives. Doesn't mean you deprive yourself. Surah Ma'idah mentions, don't make haram what Allah has made halal for you. Enjoy your life, enjoy everything, but make sure that you also live simply. Don't become elated. Living simply, when Imam talks about that, can have a number of meanings. One is, don't make yourself arrogant. Don't make yourself, superior and superficial. So Imam is saying, live simply. So maintain your simpleness. Just in the interest of time, the remaining points, inshallah, we will discuss at another time. This is only a part of the hadith, so I want the mu'minin to know I have not covered the whole hadith. So if you read it in Hajj al-Balagha or in other places, the full hadith, you will know that I only reached to number 4 with explanation, 5 with just the wording, inshallah. With Allah's help, inshallah, in the future, we will take a look at that again, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar, inna shaniyaka huwa al-abtar. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد وصل على وسير رسول رب العالمين وأمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين وقاتل الكافرين والمشركين مولانا علي بن أبي طالب وصل على بنت رسول رب العالمين سيدة النساء العالمين صديقة الطاهرة أم الأئمة فاطمة الزهراء وسلم على سبط نبي الرحمة وسيدي شباب أهل الجنة إمام الحسن والحسين والأئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين سيد العابدين ومحمد بن علي الباقر للنبيين وجعفر بن محمد الصادق الباري الأمين وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى ومحمد بن علي التقي الجواد وعلي بن محمد النقي الهادي صلى على محمد والحسن بن علي الزكي العسكرية والإمام القائم الهادي المهدي المنتظر اللهم عجل فرجه وقرب زمانه وكثر أنصاره وأهلك أعداءه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتع فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Once again I remind myself and the believers to observe the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be conscious and aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the second khutbah, as many of you have noticed, my first khutbah went about 5 minutes over. I am requesting your permission to take 5 minutes extra for the first khutbah and 5 minutes for the second khutbah, only because I've got a few things to cover and because the mu'mineen are here. If I do have your support, then can I have one salawat upon Muhammad and Ali Muhammad? I have 3 short items to cover, inshallah, and one perhaps something that we can do as a slight change in our Jummah procedure, inshallah. First of all, as you all know, and I had mentioned this about a month ago, on June the 7th, we have a provincial election coming up. One of our organizations that has been formed actually after the last federal election is called the Muslim Canadian Vote, so TMCV. And this is an organization that has been instigating Muslims to become more politically active, especially those who are citizens, ensuring that they come out to vote. And I was just talking to my dear son, Sayyid Taha. The figures were that in one of the elections about 10 years back, it was 50 or 60% turnout rate for the Muslims. The election after that, just when the TCMV was starting to become active, we reached a figure of 77 some percentage. And in the last election that, alhamdulillah, led to the downfall of the conservative government, which was one of the most anti-Muslim, anti-Shia governments that we've had in perhaps Canadian history, the turnout was about 88%. We want to strive as close to 100% of registered Muslim citizen voters as possible. So we want to just encourage the mu'mineen to please do so. We've got a form that Sayyid Taha has got, in which if you want to be a volunteer, if you want to sign up, if you want more information how to vote, we cannot tell you from the mimbar, or as a charitable organization, the I.H.S. cannot tell you. It is illegal for us to tell you who to vote for, but it's definitely our obligation and responsibility as Muslims, as believers, to tell you, please go and vote. Do the research, do the homework, see which candidate is the best, see which party will represent values of goodness, of humanity that we all believe and subscribe in, and please go out and make sure that your voice is heard. In fact, there are many options. As I said, closer to the election, I will be talking about options that if you feel that nobody is there, what to do in a case like that, even to go and vote in that situation and circumstance. One of the, in fact, today, in today's Jummah khutbah, all of the Imam Jummahs across Ontario, in fact, almost all of those who didn't get the message, it was different, are talking about this today. Okay, so Sunni, Shia, doesn't matter. All the Muslim Imams today are talking about the June 7th election. So please make sure you, your families, you encourage those who are Canadian citizens over the age of 18 to go out and vote. And as I said, we'll be having, inshallah, sessions and seminars to show that what each party, each platform, each candidate stands for. We have little badges if anybody wants to wear them. They're cute, inshallah. Again, our dear Sayyid will give them to you afterwards. We have, okay, they're by the Tabaruk, so you can take a banana and take a badge as you're leaving the Husseiniya one after Jummah. The second thing that is quite important that I wanted to address is just behind me is a banner that's going to be on the new property, on the new land. As any of you, if any of you have passed by on the on 1095 Bleams, you will notice that beginning of December, we started the digging, the initial foundation digging that has been done over the last month and a half. Those huge piles of soil and mud have actually been removed. As of 2 weeks ago, the trees that were in the way have been taken down. The shed is about to be destroyed in the next week and a half to 2 weeks. And if you remember, the land had a slope on it. So that slope has actually been leveled out, and some of the gravel has been put so that the construction vehicles can go there. And many of those construction vehicles are already there. What I was saying behind me is the sign that will actually be there when, hopefully by this week, inshallah. I have to just take it to them, inshallah. So when you have a chance, please look at it. Once the project starts building in April, end of April, beginning of May, we will require $250,000 every month for every phase that we have to go through. So over these 18 months, we will really need all of your support, all of you to go out and reach out, and inshallah to help make this project for our future, for it's a 50-year plan, inshallah. And with the land that's available, Hopefully it should last for our community even longer than that. But the initial 50 years plan is already laid out with first phase, the Husseiniya Masjid and the main halls, ghusl room and all. Phase 2, inshallah, within the next 10 years will be the full-size gymnasium and playing fields for the mu'mineen. Phase 3, inshallah, will be a small apartment building or an old age home, which will then help to sustain financially the actual I.H.S. that we will have together. And this is a project for all the believers, all the Jafari Muslims in the area, regardless of which center you go to, whether it is Mill Street or whether it is Waterloo, Wellington. It is for everybody. It is for our children, our grandchildren, and the generations will come after that. There is also the potential for us to have a full-time Islamic academic school as well, similar to what Wali al-Asr and Al-Sadiq have. We have actually had some of our Mu'mineen talk to Wali al-Asr's administrators, and of course they are looking at Kitchener-Waterloo very, very closely and interestingly. So this is the mid to long-term plan, so that we'll need all of your support. Even if you bring in $1, even if you bring in $10, even if you bring in 1,000, don't think that this will not make a difference in that $250,000 project. It will. Every dollar, penny will matter, inshallah. The last thing that I want to mention, I'm going very quickly because I appreciate all of your allowance to give me this extra 5 minutes. One of the things that I was not going to address, one of our brothers, may Allah bless him, inshallah, just suggested that it might be an idea to be aware of. Jazakallah, thank you so much, Sayyid Sab. In England and in various parts of the US, there's been a flyer circulated called Punish a Muslim Day, and you get points for throwing acid, for removing the hijab of insulting a Muslim, beating up a Muslim, and such things. I'm certain that Canada will not subscribe to, or Canadians will not subscribe to such nonsense and idiocy, but nonetheless, our history and our lives have taught us to be cautious in every situation. So whether it's on April 3rd or any other time, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, and ourselves as well, as much as possible, take precautions, know where you're walking, be careful of the circumstances around you. And as much as possible, and this was something, even if this Punish a Muslim Day wasn't existing, one of the things that I've often encouraged, well, two things. One is, as much as possible, walk in groups. Okay, it's more difficult to harm 2 or 3 individuals than it is to harm one. I don't want to create a climate of fear, alhamdulillah. I don't want to create a climate of anxiety and all kinds of scary, we become phobic of everything and anything around us, but it's always good to be cautious. And the second thing that I've always encouraged, and from the beginning of January, if you'll remember, my respected sisters and brothers who are regular in Jummah, I have always stated that we need to make sure that we are strong enough in self-defense, whether it's taking a course, whether it's Kung Fu or karate classes, whether it is ninja classes, whatever you have, it's always good to be prepared and to be able to self-defend ourselves and our families. Okay, so while I'm not condoning the use of weapons and other things, but we have to be prepared for any and every situation. And this is something that, again, for not only our sisters, but even ourselves. If we do go to the gym, which I know many of you sitting here, mashallah, do, or you keep yourself fit even at home, if you have a treadmill or whatever, continue to do that. Make sure that we do not become, negligently the target of some abuse or some idiot who wants to pretend that he's the DT here in Canada. DT, right? I don't want to name him because he's not worthy to be named on Salatul Jummah, but the big guy in the south of the border. So we have to make sure that we are prepared for ourselves and our families, okay? And as a result of that, we need to make sure that we are equipped that. And having self-defense is one of those ways that I've encouraged. Again, I have never condoned such things, to be aggressive or to hurt somebody who has not done anything to us. We don't subscribe to the George Bush policy of, I hit him before he was going to hit me. We don't agree in preemptive strikes, but at the same time, we have the full right, and we need to have the ability to defend ourselves, our families, and our children, should that need arise. May Allah protect us all. May Allah protect all of the oppressed and the mustadafin, whether they are in Yemen, Bahrain, or right here in North America. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Just the announcement that I didn't mention. Today we're going to just do one thing after the dua of after Jummah prayers, and that is we'll recite dua wahda together, the dua of unity. I know that we have got during the normal weekdays, today is Good Friday, but during the normal weekdays, we'll try and see if we can save a couple of minutes somewhere else and offset it with dua wahda recitation. So we're not going to take additional time except for today. The other Jummahs we will, inshallah, cut down on one of the khutbahs and something there so that we can do dua wahda. Inshallah, with that and the day of Jummah, maybe Allah, inshallah, will bless us and bestow upon us His unity, inshallah. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. If the mu'minin, if all of those who are in this line, please come one line forward, then those who are behind those.
اللهم صل على محمد وآله.
Leave the two there. Get a new one.
شو مشكلة هاي وياكم واحد من الناس. لا يا شيخ حجزنا. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
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 أشهد أن محمد رسول